Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Just a few minutes, man. So we're going over the Islam from the ground up that IMFC is doing, and the new Shahadas is watching like part 2 or 3, which is called to. So part 1, they started off with Aqidah, the belief system, right? Then they start to go into Islamic law, right? Why Islamic law is intended. Why was it established? You know what I'm saying? So, alhamdulillah, man. Shout out to Ali Davis, man. Definitely, like when it line up with my favorite people, which I like people for different reasons, but he definitely 100% in my top 3, because 9 times out of 10 times when I listen to him, I hear something I never heard before, or he break down something that I knew from a Sharia standpoint. You see what I'm saying? It's several books that I ended up getting from listening to him. The Tree of Life is one of them. But so when we talk about high honor students, like, you have to look into who he is. Like in the faculty of Sharia, or the College of Sharia, the area which he entered to where you can become a judge, dude was like the first black American to ever get accepted and the first to graduate. So when you look at the process of who they select, it might be like a pool of 50 people who trying to get in, but only 5 of them make it. And then out of the 5 who make it, maybe only 2 of them will graduate. Him and Abu Sajid both graduated from that program, man. You understand? So this shows these are high honor people. Tahir the exact same way. Not to big them up, but when you listen to them, like I said, man, and the way I break down, when I go to listen to people, right? And when I go to study with people, I try to use specialists that's in that field. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, these brothers are specialists in that field, man. So he was discussing about murder, right? The penalties for murder. But he's breaking it down from a Sharia standpoint, that like when a Muslim, if you harm another Muslim, like he said, if you break a Muslim finger, there's a price for that, right? But you have to know, was it an accident? Was it intentional? So most people just know what's the foundation. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. You break my finger, I could break your finger back. That's how some people gonna view it. Just like, if you kill another Muslim unjustly, the family can decide whether they want you put in the dirt or you pay money. So like he was saying with the finger, if you break another Muslim finger, there's a particular price on a dollar amount that you owe for breaking that finger. If you knock a person's tooth out, there's a dollar amount for each tooth. So like he said, we generally haven't got that far in teaching in the book of fiqh, right? And these is issues because people have, their time has been wasted. You know what I'm saying? Right now, people know who to not like, who they shouldn't take from, They know that more than anything. And these are some brothers who, before they even got their own masjid off the ground, soon as they touched ground, till they touched down, they was warned against. I remember it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, but people can't give you what they're giving. So I'm speaking on that because we don't live in a land of Islamic law, we don't even think to look into it. If you're not a serious student where you studying to be a teacher, you may not ever look into it. You understand? And then you may be too busy with becoming a low-key hater and haughty because you think you're the best thing to touch this earth as a Muslim because of what you call yourself or whatever group that you feel like you belong to, that you don't understand these things. So what we don't understand is this: because we don't live in a land of Islamic law, do that mean we don't have to follow them? Because Allah knows and Allah is right down. So like, I'm going to give y'all an example. Let's say you a Muslim and you got another Muslim in the car with you, but y'all drinking and y'all getting high. Y'all dealing with intoxicants, khamr, right? And the one who's driving, playing games and doing this and that, and then he causes an accident. But he comes out unscathed, but the person in the passenger seat, who's another Muslim, leg is broke. Isn't he responsible for that? See, in Islamic law, you're going to be held accountable for breaking that other Muslim leg. And there's a dollar amount on all of that. If the toes is broke, the ankles is, if it's broke from here to here, you owe him. No, I'm sorry, you go to the hospital, insurance and all this other stuff. Especially because you're intoxicated. See, these are things that people don't look into. And then when you go into, especially where they're at, and Muslims is killing other Muslims, and it's permissible because you're not on our side. You're not with our group. Just like right now, man, we got 6 brothers because we chopping it up, right? A couple of the Salafiyuns. So like, because this is what I want to speak on. To the Salafiyun. Deeds my man. Deeds y'all man. Where is the dalil? Because Deeds doesn't call himself Salafi. And I'm asking the Salafiyun, this verse 48. Where is the dalil that I'm not Salafi just because Deeds my man and he don't call himself Salafi? And where is the dalil that I can't talk to him or salam him, or because I speak to him, I'm exactly how he is? You know what I'm saying? Because let's say this is what people fail to realize, because I already know we don't want the rhetoric where you're on the deen of your companion. Okay, alhamdulillah. So that means Deeds is on the deen of me. Do that 100% mean that I'm making Deeds worse? I mean, he's making me worse? Or do it mean that I'm making Deeds better? See, this is something that applies to the kuffar. This was for the people who running around with the najis, not somebody that's running around with another Muslim. See how people twist the lil and put it in there just so that they can justify being haughty and nasty towards people? So where's the dalil that I'm not Salafi because Deeds is my man? Well, you up on the religion of your companion. Right, he Muslim, I'm Muslim. He pray, I pray. He's not a najis, he's not a kuffar. You understand? So like, where's the dalil for that? Without somebody having to make it up and twist it. So I'm speaking on that because one thing, and in the video, I want to bring into what's the price of harming and destroying another man's honor, tearing other people down unjustly. Because we're not in an Islamic society. See, if you're in a Muslim country, you can have a person locked up for that. Let's say, for instance, I was an imam of a masjid, right? And let's say I have followers, but they don't consider me Salafi because I don't hang with them or I don't listen to them, but I might have more education than them. So, not saying you can't learn nothing from them, but I'm a 12th grader listening to a kindergartner. So the point is this. Then, now another person who has just as much education as me is coming to the masjid to educate the people. And because so now they make up a whole campaign to destroy our honor. See, in the Muslim lands, we can take them to court for that. So that's why I'm speaking on the Islamic law. See, a lot of people don't know they fallen into breaking laws. And they don't but because they're not in a Muslim land, they're not being held accountable for it by this country. But Allah Azza wa Jal always sees. So alhamdulillah, man. So people who not listening to it because you don't know if you can or you don't know if you should, because you've been pigeonholed and put in this bubble. And the beauty of it is, you can see his notebooks where he wrote his notes down. And then he's also writing notes. He's not reading from a book or explanation, just reading the whole book to you, but really can't give you the dalil. Just like what I'm talking to you about right now. I don't have to read a book from such and such and cloak it under me. When it comes to Islamic law, man, this is a serious thing. And when you understand that you're violating the laws of Islam when it comes to the rights of your Muslim brother or sister, you will be more careful. Because you don't want to fall into misguiding them. Because you can be held accountable from hindering people from the path of Allah. This is grave. Because when you look into the Quran and see what Allah says about the ones who hinder people from the path of Allah Azza wa Jal. I need $1,000. You got $3. You gonna keep me from going to get $1,000 from this person who can give it to me? Because you want to make sure I never have more than the $2 you have? See, as long as you a $2 cat, I could be a quarter up under you. Nah, I'm finna go get this $1,000. You feel me? So I love the way they building it from the ground up, but just to build on them principles that they speaking on about law, where we extremely negligence of the law. The only thing a particular person and section of group, only thing that they talk to about people is belief. You gotta believe in it year after year after year after year. Okay, we've been knowing what to believe in for 10 years. Now what? What about the actions? We know we got to believe in Allah. We know we got to believe in the angels. We know that we got to believe in the books. We know we got to believe in the prophets. Now can we get into how we bring that stuff into implementation? No, because some people haven't been through the steps of tarbiyah. You can't squeeze water out of a rock. Some people just can't give you what they don't have. And people fall into violating other rights of Muslims that don't deserve it. What's the price tag on destroying another person's honor? unjustifiably. Now, if somebody bogus and you try to talk to them behind closed doors first, because them your first steps. Let me holler at you behind closed doors with nobody around but me and you. Now, if you're not going to stop this bogus stuff that you're doing, especially involving me, I'm going to say something to the people. If you're not going to rectify this affair, I'm going to rectify it because it's going to harm the Muslims. Now, if they choose to not listen, alhamdulillah, I did what I was supposed to do. Not just go on a campaign and try to do this and say this and that. Okay, it happened publicly. I don't know how to contact them, so I'm going to address it publicly, but there's etiquette to that. I'm going to address this publicly because it was addressed publicly, right? But not do it in a way where you 100% garbage. I don't care how much education that you have, you can't be listened to in regards to nothing. You understand? But y'all don't understand that. And that's the beauty. I love the way them brothers is talking about law from the ground up. We need to understand that, man. Keep in mind of that. You know, not only with a Muslim brother, this stuff includes a Muslim wife, Muslim children. And unfortunately, man, you have Muslims who beat on each other unjustifiably. You know what I'm saying? Husband come in the house, got off at 7 o'clock, he come in the house at 9 o'clock. Wife excited to see him. Hey baby, where you been at? I had dinner ready, you know, I was all waiting for you. I had everything ready as soon as you came through the door. B, don't be questioning me. Kids crying. Shut up. Y'all get y'all little da-da-da-da-da. That's unjustifiably. You know what I'm saying? What you got something to hide? They not questioning you like that. It ain't an interrogation. They was waiting for you to come home. They done cooked. They want to spend some time with you. They probably was worried. Dang, why he ain't showed up? Did he get in a car wreck? Women worry. Vice versa. You know what I'm saying? She might be flipping. Where you been at? I'm getting sick of that, and get to throwing stuff at him. Might hit him. But not understanding that you could be violating laws within the Sharia that Allah gonna punish you for. You might get away with it with this court system because y'all might not call the police on each other, or the police might not get called. But Allah knows. But like I said, due to us not being in a Muslim country, we so negligent to Islamic law. And when you aware of the law, you will carry things different. Now, and I'm gonna say this, because he also got to mentioning Kamar, and he was talking about how brothers try to be slick and say, the Quran only say alcohol, right? It don't say nothing about pills. It don't say nothing about marijuana. And then, you know, he like, if somebody come in, he like, look, it say right here. And then if somebody be like, hey, go get the tafsirs. Then you come get a book of tafsirs and they start to breaking it down, what all intoxicants are. Now they want to cloak it under, are you just making up stuff? Oh, that's a translation. But he starts to go through some beautiful explanations through fiqh, right, on how some scholars say that alcohol is najis to the touch. So like, because I done seen people who wouldn't use Listerine because they was told you can't use Listerine even if they gums, even if they teeth getting bad, or you know, like during the cold and flu seasons, the way it kills germs in your mouth that keeps colds and stuff, things that enter through your mouth and your nose where you start to get sick, you can't use Listerine because it have alcohol in it. But you're not drinking it. You're not getting intoxicated. If you get a cut on your hand or something, you can't use rubbing alcohol on it to put a Band-Aid. Like when you go to the hospital, they're going to rub. If you finna get a shot, they're going to take a little something with some alcohol and rub that skin before they give you a shot. Oh no, you can't do that. Right? Even though they do have Listerine with non-alcohol. But you'll catch them using hand sanitizer without knowing it because it's the law of the land somewhere, especially COVID. But this isn't intoxicating you. So he broke down how the scholars use the ruling on the ones who don't agree with that, talk about when the Sahaba was pouring all the alcohol out and it was flowing down the streets. If it was najis to the touch, they wouldn't have been pouring it out the way that they was. And they didn't go remake wudu and stuff because some of it got on their hands or whatever. But I love the way he broke that down. But he was going through it. But because I'm from Hadith, and like he said, where can you get these rulings? Because fiqh people always say that. But there's, which I mean, because they're going to add the differences. These scholars differ, this, that, and the third. Because, but in my head, I don't have to take the long route. Because there's an authentic hadith that says anything that intoxicates is a khamr. And he quoted that from the tafsir though. But, you know, anything that intoxicates is a khamr. So like even if you was prescribed some medical pills like Percocets, like hydrocodone or some codeine or something, but when you start to use them for recreational use, to where you getting high and stuff off of them, you abusing them, you done fell into something different. But anyway, man, I love that, man. Hold on, let me pause it for 1 second and let me see if I can pull up something. 1 second, and then I'm through. Okay, so just to show y'all certain things about fiqh, and then I'm done, because it's talking about intoxicants, right? When you go to some of the things in the Hanafi fiqh, now some of his students, one thing y'all have to learn, I ain't gonna do that because I don't want this to get too long. There's certain things in Hanafi fiqh that would blow your mind. But we talking about from Imam Abu Hanifa. May Allah be pleased with him. One, they says it's permissible to drink wine as long as it's made from natural sources, such as honey, figs, right? So when I read about it years ago, because it was a Hanafi masjid here, so I went to go start to study Hanafi fiqh because it was a lot of stuff they was doing, and I was like, hold on. But they'll say, man, we Hanafi and this how we do it. So I went to go study the madhab. And I came across this, and they were saying because the Rasul used to take some dates and put them in some water and let them sit like basically like what we consider to be a nightstand on a thing by his bed, and he might let it sit for a couple of days, then he would drink it. But he made clear if it set this amount of days or basically got to the point where you're going to get a buzz when you drink it and throw it away. But, so because, you know, I'm a hadith fanatic, when I came across hadiths, I would practice it. So you know me, I'd tear up some dates, throw them in some water, let them sit a couple of days. I had a cover over it. Give me a nice cup, let it sit, drunk it, and found out it was basically some prune juice. I said, oh, okay. Now I see why the Rasul was drinking it. He was detoxing. That's what it did for me. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, because he didn't really necessarily say why he did it. It was just something he did, and he didn't necessarily tell other people to do it. You know, his wives just said every once in a while he would let it sit. You know what I'm saying? So due to that, they had a ruling that, because eventually it can turn into a wine. You know, just like people who've been in jail, they know if you take some fruits and some different things and throw them in a bag, throw some little yeast in it and some water or some other juices, let it sit and then burp it and then strain it out. And they call it hooch in Illinois. So that's basically what they saying. In the Hanafi madhab, his students came out and opposed it. But basically, hooch was permissible. But all wine made from natural sources, right? So, and also in there, you will see, because the marriages was arranged, if you was married, if your parents went and married you to, the way they word it is, a person whose skin was too dark, that was grounds for divorce. If you was a woman and they brought you back a husband that was too dark, that was black, you could say, no, I don't want to stay married to this person. And, or vice versa. If they brought you a woman that was too black, you're not allowed to, you could say, I want a divorce. That's racism. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, so fiqh, but see, a lot of people don't know these type of things in there because they don't study fiqh. And wallahi, I had a Quran teacher, an Arabic teacher who was in India, right? In the Indo-Pakistani region, right? He was in Pakistan though. They the same area, you know what I'm saying? They just split, one part India, the other part Pakistan or whatever, basically. So anyway, the brother wanted, I don't know what was to him, but he wanted a black woman. And his parents, you know, they already had another Pakistani girl that they wanted for him. But he didn't want a Pakistani girl, because dude he grew up Tablighi, Deobandi, on that extreme Hanafi stuff, and then he ended up going to the Islamic University and was like, man, this stuff kind of bid'ah, it's kind of, you know, there's no text for some of this. So, you know, he was leaning that way. So, you know, he was telling me how he didn't want one of the Indian girls because they really not religious for real. They just, whatever they told, like they don't have no rhyme or reason for why they making salat. They really not that religious. They want to rap and have their hair out of their scarf, you know, and all that type of stuff, right? So, and it was funny, man, because wallahi, he told me, man, in the masjid, wallahi, you know, he was telling me about the racism, how they make fun of like, it's, you know, it's Africans and stuff that's over there, you know. There's a sister in America whose daughter is married to an African, but they live in Pakistan. So he said that they make fun of the black people in the masjid. And it was funny because, wallahi, when Ramadan would come, I would feed the whole entire masjid for the weekend. Sometimes the whole entire month for every weekend during Ramadan. But I'm a black person. If I was in there, they would make fun of me. But they didn't know where the food was coming from. You know what I'm saying? I just gave up the money, and they didn't know a black person was feeding them. But the point is, he wanted to marry a black person, and his parents didn't want it. You know what I'm saying? So they gave him a whole year to find somebody that was suitable, that was black American for him, telling him, you ain't gonna find no black American. Basically, they're not gonna want you because they gold diggerish. This is what he telling me. And it was unfortunate he wasn't able to find one. And he wanted me to help him find one. You know what I'm saying? And I was a student. He was a young brother too. He was cold, boy, with that memorization. You know what I'm saying? But he wasn't able to find one. I wasn't gonna be able to find the one either, man, because But anyway, but it's in their madhab to be that way in marriage. You know what I'm saying? So like the dude here, who the Hafiz, and they talking about, man, a Hafiz like us, he like us, he get food stamps, and he one of the guys, but the man had like 4 daughters. And but when he would take them to India, to Pakistan to get married, they'd be mad. Man, all of us here, why he won't marry? But they didn't know from their madhab is against it. So that's why I say it's some things in some of those madhabs, man, that if you seen it, you'll be like, so that it's permissible for them to treat you a certain type of way because you're black in accordance with their madhab. You understand? So, you know, you got to learn your deen, man. You know what I'm saying? And I love the way the brother, he speak on qiyas too. Like, once you do qiyas, you got to do qiyas on a ruling that's already been made. Quran, Sunnah, Ijma. To where you may have to adjust it a little bit due to your area, due to your circumstances. But you can't just do qiyas on something that's not in the deen and just totally make up something out of nothing. Qiyas don't work that way. But anyway, man, I just wanted to touch on that, man, because, we sitting up here talking about it. And one of the new shahadas was talking about the little murder thing. Like, man, I didn't know that, because the brother was like, how just and perfect this religion, the deen is. And when you get into it, and like I say, I can see the difference. You know what I'm saying? I can see the difference, man, between the educated and the uneducated, man. And that's why I want for the Salafiyun, which they crack me up. We crack each other up because we all guys. We kick it. We travel together. Me and Deeds. Because me and D's been knowing each other. I think I probably had to be about 14 when I met Deeds. You know what I'm saying? We reconnected when I was grown, but I'm saying, like I said, I met Deeds in Chicago, man, around my cousins, old Africa. You know what I'm saying? I be talking to my brothers now. Sometimes I be getting ready to tell them, man, hey, man, y'all know I be rocking with Africa, man, from when we was kids. You know what I'm saying? But I met these on the south side of Chicago as kids, man, when we was in tribes. But we was both Muslim. Tribal Islam, though. Street tribe Islam. But so we have a different relationship because of how long we've been knowing each other. The relationship is the same. We're just more in tune with each other personally. But y'all rock with us, we rock with y'all, y'all rock with these, but y'all still listen to that nonsense, man. Because it's so embedded in your psyche. You know what I'm saying? Your brain has been washed, B. Squeeze that sponge. But anyway, man, I ain't gonna do that, man, if I make somebody mad. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, man. Any of y'all, man, go to IMFC, man, and listen to this lecture from the ground up that they're doing, man. And just look at their scholarship. But also what I want y'all to pay attention to, so y'all have to understand, some of the people is leaving the so-called Salafi masjids in that city, and they're starting to come to them. So what I want y'all to see is when they ask questions, and you can hear individuals, they super grown, just listen to some of the answers that they be giving. And then like when they talking, they be sitting up like, okay, I know I lost you. Let me slow it down. And is everybody with me? Anybody who don't understand, or when they do ask the questions, just listen to some of the answers that they give. This isn't really the people who've been with them from day one. This is people who left these other masjids because they all fighting with each other and then came to them, and they've been Salafi for 10, 15 years. But when they ask the question, just like when dude asked what was Akida, and my man, I'm not trying to laugh at him, because I had my process too. And my man was like, it's our world view. It's basically how we view the world or something like that. And I'm like, boy, but you've been setting up. I guess I look at it that way because I know the reality of the people who claim we're the best of the best. You can't listen to nobody but us. And people be mind blown. Some of them get insulted when I say they can't explain Salafiyah, some of them. They can't explain Aqidah, some of them. But in their head, how can they not explain Aqidah or Salafiyah? And all they do is say Aqidah, Salafi, Salafi. You can't go here if they not Salafi. Yeah, but it's all rhetoric. When you dig into the books and really know what it is, then you'll be able to say, yeah, they don't really understand this. Just like somebody, oh man, you doing it, you saying that Allah can move, that's shirk in his names and attributes and this and that. A person who, just like somebody could tell him that. They told him that because he don't really know what shirk is. And he might be on that belief for the next 10, 15 years. But a person who know what shirk is and study it can sit down and say, this brother don't really know what shirk is. But he's attacking people and he's extremely wrong. You know what I'm saying? Doing qiyas based off of something that don't even come from Quran, Sunnah, or Ijma. You violating every single principle in Sharia, but attacking and trying to argue with people. But at the same time, I go to a grave of a Sufi sheikh or Imam Bukhari or somebody and be like, oh, give me the memorization that you had. Make me just as prominent in knowledge as you. And then say that ain't shirk because it's dua. And dua is not worship. Okay? So anyway, man, my apologies. I'm going to stop doing that, y'all. It's Roger. I'm going to stop doing that because I can understand. I do understand how people could feel picked on or prodded or poked. But, and it may be a little bit of me. I don't feel like I'm looking down on them because I'm not saying you're a horrible person because of this. It ain't a looking down on them per se. It's just like y'all been pigeonholed into listening to the wrong people. You just don't know it yet because these the only people you ever heard. And then the unfortunate part is you really only listening to them for a couple of reasons. One, you're trying to stick to something that you feel is black. Something that you feel is still hood. And then for three, you've been told we the only ones you can listen to. Even if it's Ash'ari, even if it's Salafi. But if you ever get into some real classrooms that's not their classrooms, with some real students, some real graduates that haven't been tainted, that got a higher level of degree, you're going to sit down and say, whoa, there's something not quite right about this. If Allah Azza wa Jal open up them doors for you, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I got to mention this and I'm done. I apologize for my rambling. So, when it comes to them with the arguing about the hands and the thrones, this is why I say hadith is important. There's a hadith that breaks down in Jannah, right? That breaks down in Jannah, there's going to be food. Like, let's say for instance, you might see something that look like an apple. And it might be on a tree and then you pick it, but it's actually a grape. But then you bite into it and it tastes like a watermelon. So it explains that in Jannah, what you may see as an apple and what you may call an apple is going to be different from what you knew as an apple on earth. You see what I'm saying? You may be like, okay, this right here is some chicken. I desire some chicken. It may look like some chicken, but then you bite into it and it may taste like lamb meat. Just to put something on it, because it's going to taste like something you want to be like, whoa, this don't taste like chicken in the world. But so what it breaks down is this. See, in Jannah, just because An apple may share the name of an apple. It's going to be something entirely different. So those ones with that messed up akida, that they done did qiyas from things that didn't come from a text, and say Allah can't have this and Allah can't have that, they don't understand that logic. Just because it has the name throne doesn't mean it's going to be what you consider to be a throne on earth. Where you go overboard and saying Allah can't have no throne, because that would mean he's going to have a butt. And in order to have a butt, that means he defecates. So there's no way on earth Allah has a throne. And then on top of that, a throne you have to put somewhere. And we know that Allah can't be put in a place where anything else is. Although he was right there when he was creating. Because y'all even say out of y'all own self that he did create while he was within creation, and then he went back to where he was before he created. So even with y'all saying he went back to where he was, isn't that movement? Huh? Isn't that movement? You know what I'm saying? And then like some of them say, above technically isn't the direction. Your directions is really north, east, south. I guess if you want to say that's north or whatever. But like generally, when you look at a compass, unless you're looking for like the North Star or something like that, you may look at the direction, this is north, and then you look up in the sky as the north. But technically above isn't a direction. Because if I look above like this, what direction is that? Is this north? Is this south? Is this east? Just throwing in some of the logics. But because they don't deal with hadiths enough, and they can't grasp it, and they do so much qiyas from things that don't come from something that's already legislated, they intellectualize right on out of space. So like I say, just because it has the same name as an apple, or it has the same name of a throne, and Jannah is going to be something entirely different. So Allah's hands is something that we can't imagine. What part of y'all don't understand that I can imagine human hands? I can imagine human limbs. I know exactly what they look like. You know what I'm saying? Just like how they had a discussion with people who once could see that went blind. And they said they could still vision images and colors, like they could still remember, like a dream. They could still remember what people looked like. So if they seen it before, they could still imagine it and do stuff like that. Like they could still imagine colors. You know, they could see in their head like dreams. They just can't see when they're walking around. So even a person who can't see that once could see can still imagine hands and limbs. If we can't imagine what Allah looked like, why y'all can't understand that we're not putting limbs on them? Anyway, man, I went too long. We finna get back to what we was doing. So, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.